Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be looking at essential oils and autism.
Okay.
We found this really interesting document called Aceites Esenciales,
Yeah.
which is basically like ASD,
Yeah.
essential oils, and it's in Spanish.
Okay.
So I think it's really geared towards helping families and students.
Gotcha.
And I was actually really surprised by how much information they had about ASD itself.
Okay.
So it's not just like,
Right.
here's the oil you should use for this.
It gives you a good overview.
It's a good overview.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about what they say about ASD.
Okay. So they basically lay out the common challenges with social interaction and communication and the repetitive behaviors.
Right.
And then they also mentioned something that I thought was really interesting and maybe something that a lot of parents aren't aware of.
Oh, really? What's that?
30% of children with ASD show typical development at first and then regress.
Wow, that's a pretty big number.
Yeah, that's a significant statistic.
It is, yeah.
It makes you think about what factors could be at play there.
Yeah, and how important early intervention is.
Absolutely.
So I also noticed that they talked about how, like, sometimes conventional treatments like EEG and things like that are used.
Yeah.
And also pharmaceuticals.
Right.
So I'm curious to know, like, where do the essential oils fit into all of this?
Yeah, so they're not saying that essential oils are a cure for autism or a replacement for those treatments.
Right.
It's more that they're a complementary support, particularly for some of the comorbidities that often go hand in hand.
Oh, okay. So comorbidities.
Yeah.
Can you refresh my memory? What exactly does that mean again?
So basically, they're just other conditions that frequently occur alongside ASD.
Gotcha.
It doesn't necessarily mean that one causes the other, but they just seem to show up together a lot. So some of the ones that they mention are ADHD, depression, anxiety, sleep disorders, and immune system issues.
Interesting.
Yeah, they said that somewhere between 28% to 44% of individuals with ASD also have ADHD.
Wow. So there's a big overlap.
Yeah, a pretty significant percentage.
That's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
A lot of challenges for individuals and their families.
Yeah. So how do essential oils fit into all of that?
So basically, the document talks about essential oils as a way to potentially help manage some of the symptoms associated with these comorbidities.
Cool.
But before we get into that, I think it's important to just define what we're talking about.
Right. What are essential oils?
Yeah, what are they? Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Well, they're natural aromatic compounds extracted from plants. And they mentioned something called the CPTG certification. What is that?
So that stands for Certified Pure Therapeutic Grade. It's basically a quality standard that's specific to the doTERRA brand that they mention in this document.
Gotcha.
It's just to assure users of the purity and potency of the oils.
So they're really focused on the quality of the oils.
Yes.
So how are they used?
Okay, so they talk about topical application, which is basically applying the oils directly to the skin. And then they also mention oral and sublingual use, which involves ingesting the oils. But they do say that those methods are only for children over 10 years old.
Okay.
And lastly, they discuss respiratory application, which is inhaling the oils.
All right, so a lot of different ways to use them. Safety considerations.
Absolutely.
Especially with kids.
Yeah.
All right, so they mention a whole bunch of different oils that could be used to support individuals with ASD and their families.
Right.
They sort of categorize them as support oils and other support oils.
Okay.
So what's the distinction there?
I think it's that the support oils are the ones they're saying are most beneficial.
Okay.
And then the other support oils are kind of...
like secondary.
Yeah, more specialized or are meant to be used in combination.
Okay, that makes sense.
With the primary support oils.
Great. So let's start with those. What's the first one on the list?
So the first one they talk about is peppermint oil.
Oh, peppermint oil.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they suggest that peppermint oil can help with calming and relaxing the mind.
Okay.
Which could be helpful for improving focus and concentration.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard of it for headaches and things like that.
Yeah.
But I haven't really thought about it in terms of focus.
Yeah, it makes sense because a lot of individuals with ASD struggle with sensory overload.
Right.
So a calming oil like peppermint might help them feel more grounded and able to concentrate.
For sure. So what are your thoughts on that one?
I think I'm curious about what the evidence is to support the claims about peppermint oil.
Right.
And focus.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for natural remedies and stuff, but...
You want to make sure there's some research.
Yeah, I always want to make sure there's research.
Absolutely.
That shows it's effective.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that the document goes into a lot of detail about specific studies, but I think that's something we can delve into further.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so the next one they talk about is lavender.
Okay, lavender. Very popular.
Very popular.
So what do they say about lavender?
So they say that it can be helpful with sleep issues, stress, and anxiety.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which I know are
common concerns.
Common concerns for lots of people.
Yeah.
Not just those with ASD.
I use it for sleep sometimes.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I think it's important to remember that everybody responds to essential oils differently.
Right.
And what works for one person might not work for another.
Sure.
But lavender does have a calming aroma, and some studies suggest that it might help with anxiety and sleep. So I think it's certainly worth exploring further in the context of ASD.
For sure.
Especially given how common sleep disorders are for that population.
Okay, cool. And then they also mentioned a blend called Balance.
Yes.
What is that?
Okay, so Balance is described as a blend that's specifically designed to promote feelings of calm, peace, and relaxation.
Okay.
So sounds like a good option for helping individuals manage stress and emotional overwhelm.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of these are geared towards calming.
Right.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
There's also one called Adaptive.
Yes.
What's that one for?
Okay, so Adaptive, they say, can elevate mood, increase feelings of peace and tranquility, and even be helpful during emotional crises.
Wow, that's a powerful.
Yeah, it sounds like it's meant to be kind of like a more potent option for when you're really struggling.
Okay, cool. And then Copaiba? What do they say about that one?
Okay, so Copaiba is one that can boost the immune system.
Oh, okay.
And calm feelings of anxiety and worry.
Okay, what do you think about that?
So Copaiba oil is known for its anti-inflammatory properties.
Okay.
And there is some research suggesting that it might have calming effects.
Okay.
But the claims about boosting the immune system are something I'd want to investigate.
Yeah. The immune system is really complex.
Very complex, and I think you have to be careful about that. Yeah.
For sure.
What do you think about that claim?
Yeah, I agree. I think, anytime somebody says boost the immune system, I'm always a little bit like...
Skeptical?
Yeah, I'm a little bit skeptical. What does that even mean? Really?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so, and then the last one in this category is On Guard.
On Guard.
Okay, tell me about On Guard.
Okay, so On Guard they describe as an immune system protector, purifier, and energizer. So it sounds like a blend that's just designed to support overall well-being.
Okay, what are your thoughts on that one?
I think...
It sounds good.
It sounds good, but I'd want to know more about... the evidence to support the claims.
Right. It's good that they're highlighting these things.
Yeah.
But it's good to be a critical consumer.
Absolutely.
Of information, too.
Yeah. You can't just take everything at face value.
Right, for sure. All right, so let's talk about some of those other support oils.
Okay.
The first one they mentioned is bergamot. And they say it can help reduce irritability.
Okay.
Assist with anger management, regulate mood swings, and boost feelings of happiness and well-being.
Well, bergamot oil has a lovely citrusy aroma that's often considered uplifting.
Right.
And there is some research suggesting that it might have mood-boosting effects.
Okay.
But I think its specific impact on things like irritability and anger management, especially in the context of ASD, would need to be investigated further.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you have to kind of separate out those general mood-boosting properties from specific claims.
Right. Like, I'm also curious about the mood swing regulation.
Yeah.
Because mood swings can be such a big challenge for people.
Absolutely.
With ASD. So if there's support there, that's great.
Yeah.
But
again,
we need more information.
You got to be critical about those claims.
Okay. So the next one on the list is geranium.
Okay, geranium.
Which they describe as an emotional balancer. That can relieve nervous tension and stress.
Okay.
And they even call it a natural antidepressant.
Oh, wow. So
that's a bold statement.
It is a bold statement. I know it has a really nice floral scent.
Yeah.
I like geranium, but calling it a natural antidepressant is...
Yeah, I don't know about that.
It's a little bit of a stretch for me.
Yeah, and I think, depression's a complex condition.
Right.
So it's important not to oversimplify the potential benefits of these things.
Yeah, essential oils are not a substitute for
professional medical care.
Exactly.
And And also, even if it does have those calming properties, you have to remember that some people are sensitive to scents.
Absolutely.
And that can be especially true for people with ASD.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it could be overwhelming for some.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, they talk about orange oil.
Orange oil.
Which is supposed to be helpful for anxiety, stress, and nervousness. So I know a lot of people like the scent of orange. It's very uplifting.
Uplifting.
But is there research to support this?
So orange oil, like other citrus oils, often have a very cheerful and energizing aroma.
Right.
And while it might contribute to a sense of well-being, its specific effects on anxiety and stress, I think, would need to be studied more thoroughly.
Especially for people with ASD.
Individuals with ASD.
Yeah. Okay. What are your thoughts on that one?
I think it's possible that it could be helpful, but I would want to see more evidence than just like anecdotal reports.
Yeah. All right. So the next one is vetiver.
Vetiver.
Which they say is used for ADHD and acts as a sedative on the central nervous system.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've heard of vetiver being used for relaxation, but ADHD, that's a new one for me.
So vetiver oil has a very grounding, earthy scent.
Okay.
And there is some anecdotal evidence suggesting that it might be calming. However, claiming that it's helpful for ADHD.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, a complex neurodevelopmental disorder is a pretty significant statement that would need to be backed up by rigorous scientific research.
Yeah, you can't just say something is calming and assume that it's going to help.
Exactly.
With a complex disorder.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have cedarwood.
Cedarwood.
And yang-yang.
Ylang-yang.
Which are both described as having calming and relaxing properties. So do you see any, like, key distinctions?
Okay, so cedarwood, they say, is helpful for anxiety, and yang-yang is described as calming anguish and restoring a sense of well-being.
Okay, so slightly different.
Slightly different, yeah.
Emotional benefits.
Right. What do you think about those distinctions?
I think it makes me wonder how they came up with those descriptions. Like, is it based on research?
Right.
Or is it just more anecdotal?
Yeah, are they pulling from specific studies, or is this just kind of general knowledge?
Right, and also, are they meant to be used individually?
Yeah.
Or in combination?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that the document really addresses that explicitly. It would be helpful to know more about, you know, how they arrived at these specific recommendations.
For sure.
Okay, so then they talk about this kids kit.
Oh, yeah, the kids kit.
Which has 7 different blends
that
are specifically formulated for children.
What do you think about that?
I think it's interesting the names that they've chosen for the blends. So you've got Steady Calmer, Brave, Stronger, Tamer Thinker, and Rescuer.
Yeah, it's like superheroes for emotions.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really smart.
It's very clever marketing.
It is, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about them.
All right, so the first one, Steady, is described as promoting balance, peace, and relaxation.
Okay, so like grounding.
Yeah, it sounds like it's designed to help children feel more grounded.
Yeah.
And centered, especially those who are easily overwhelmed or overstimulated.
Yeah, what do you think of that name, Steady?
I think it's very appropriate.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're trying to provide a sense of stability and calmness.
Right, like an anchor.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then we have Calmer.
Calmer.
Which they say creates a relaxing atmosphere and is conducive to sleep.
Okay.
What do you think about that one?
Well, given that sleep difficulties are such a common comorbidity with ASD, a blend like that could be really helpful for both the child and the family.
Sure. I'd be curious to know what's in it.
Yeah.
What oils are in there?
Yeah, and is there research that shows it's effective for sleep?
What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I'm also curious, like, how would you even use it?
Yeah.
Like, would you diffuse it?
Right. Would you diffuse it in the room?
Yeah.
Would you apply it topically?
Right.
All good questions.
Okay. So the next one is Brave.
Brave.
This one sounds really interesting.
Okay. What do they say about Brave?
So it's supposed to be energizing and invigorating, and it promotes feelings of confidence, courage, and conviction.
It sounds like they're trying to address those feelings of anxiety and fear.
Yeah.
That can often accompany social situations or new experiences.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and I think the name Brave is very powerful.
Yeah.
And it speaks to, you know, that inner strength that children with ASD possess.
It's giving them the tools
exactly
to face those challenges.
Yes, empowering them.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one's a little different.
Okay.
it's stronger.
And they say it promotes clean and healthy-looking skin.
Okay.
And feelings of well-being and vitality.
So that one seems a little bit different.
Yeah, it's not so much focused on.
Right. It's not really about the emotional or behavioral stuff.
Yeah, it's more about physical.
Right. More physical well-being.
What do you think about that one?
It's interesting that they included it in this kit.
Yeah.
Alongside blends that are more targeted towards,
Right.
emotional challenges.
And why do you think they did that?
Yeah. What do you make of that?
Well, I wonder if it's because sometimes kids with ASD
Uh-huh.
have skin sensitivities.
Okay. So maybe it's to address that.
Yeah, or maybe it's just about promoting overall health and vitality.
Right. Maybe it's just about general well-being.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have Tamer, which is a digestive blend that can alleviate the effects of motion sickness and digestive issues.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I know some individuals with ASD can have some digestive issues, so that could be helpful.
Yeah, makes sense.
But then the motion sickness makes me wonder if it's also for
interesting.
Anxiety related to travel.
Yeah, maybe being in unfamiliar environments.
Yeah.
It's a good observation.
Yeah.
It's possible they're trying to address multiple needs with that one.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Thinker. That one increases alertness, aids concentration and attention.
Interesting.
So what are your thoughts on that one?
I'm wondering about the potential for overstimulation.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Because while some children with ASD might benefit from increased alertness, others might find it overwhelming.
Right.
Or even anxiety-provoking.
Yeah, for sure.
So again, it just highlights that importance of individualizing the approach.
Not one size fits all.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last one is Rescuer.
Which
is a calming blend.
Okay.
Promotes relaxation and reduces feelings of tension in tired and growing legs. So what do you think about that one?
So it seems like they're targeting both physical and emotional tension with that blend.
Yeah.
The tired and growing legs makes me think of restless legs syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Which can sometimes be associated with ASD.
Interesting.
Yeah. What stands out to you about that description?
I like the name Rescuer.
Yeah.
It's for when you're really...
Right, when you're in distress.
Yeah, you need to be rescued.
Yeah.
So,
okay,
so they include this personal anecdote in the document.
Right.
What did you think about that?
Well, I thought it was really interesting to hear from a parent who has actually used these oils with their child. So it's one thing to talk about, the potential benefits in theory, but it's another to actually hear from someone who's had experience with it.
Yeah. So tell me about it.
So it's a story from a mother whose 4-year-old son is on the spectrum.
Okay.
And she shares these specific blends that she uses to help him with things like concentration, calm, and sleep.
Oh, wow.
So it's fascinating to hear how she's incorporated these oils into their daily routine.
What did you think about that? I thought it was really cool that they included that.
Yeah.
Because it just makes it so much more real.
Right. It's not just theoretical. It's this is what people are actually doing.
Yeah. Puts a human face on it.
Exactly.
I also appreciated that she talked about being very careful about the dilutions.
Yeah.
Because, her son's so young.
Right.
So
safety is key.
Yeah, safety first, for sure.
Absolutely.
And it's a good reminder that, it's really important to take a cautious approach.
Yes.
Especially with kids.
Especially with children.
Yeah, and they actually say that in the document, too.
Right.
They're like, don't use this as a replacement.
Yeah, they're very clear about that.
For medical treatment.
It's not a replacement for medical treatment. It's really important to continue any therapies that are recommended by a multidisciplinary team.
Yeah, if you're working with doctors and therapists.
Right, keep doing that.
Yeah, keep doing that.
Don't stop.
Don't just stop that.
Yeah.
And they also said you should always talk to your doctor or healthcare provider.
Absolutely. Open communication is key.
Yeah, before making any decisions about using essential oils.
Right.
Especially for a child with ASD.
Yeah, you want to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, patch testing.
Oh, yes.
They mentioned that.
Very important.
Yeah, just to make sure.
Make sure there's no allergies.
Yeah, they don't have a reaction.
Exactly.
So, good reminder.
Yeah, it's good that they mention all that stuff.
Yeah, I think, taking a step back from the essential oils for a minute.
Okay.
I think this whole conversation has brought up some bigger questions.
Oh, yeah, like what?
About supporting neurodiversity.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Well, This document is focused on essential oils, but I think it really opens up a larger conversation about how we create an environment that best supports individuals with ASD.
Right.
Using a combination of approaches.
Yeah, I think that's really important.
Yeah, there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
Right? And what works for one person might not work for another.
For sure.
So it's really about, recognizing the unique strengths and challenges of each individual and tailoring our support accordingly.
I like that.
And it's also about empowering families and individuals with ASD to make informed choices about their care.
I love that. Yeah, it's about giving them...
giving them agency.
Yeah.
And creating a world that really embraces and celebrates neurodiversity.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I think it reminds us that the journey of supporting neurodiversity is a continuous one.
Yeah.
Filled with learning and adaptation and collaboration.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay, I like it. If we embrace the idea that there's no single solution for supporting individuals with ASD, what other complementary approaches beyond essential oils might be worth exploring?
Great question.
And how can we work together to create a more inclusive and supportive world for neurodiversity to flourish?
I think that's a great question for everyone to consider.
Yeah, something to think about.
Yeah, as you continue on your own journey.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.